Life is like a hurricane here in Duckburg. Race cars, lasers, airplanes. It's a Duckburg. Sorry, it'd be weird to not do it. But this is one hell of a throwback for me. I I'll tell you why in a minute. But first and foremost, thank y'all for joining me. I'm streaming relatively late because uh, I had to take a well-deserved nap earlier today because know, I had to work earlier this morning. And I got work yesterday. The shifts were like very all over the place, and I'm just like, uh, you know, my mind's a little like was too rattled for me to fully, engage. So I didn't want to sit there and like, doze off in front of you guys. I want to make sure I give you guys my full undivided attention, so I can talk about two movies that I've watched today that I want to review. Anyway, so today I will be giving you my overall thoughts on the animated film DuckTales, the movie, the Treasure of the Lost Lamp. And please do me a huge favor and leave a comment below. Let me know if you recall or seen this film at all. And like this video. Follow me in the links in the description below, like my YouTube channel, Patreon, Twitch. Links are in the description below. So, like I said, this is one hell of a throwback for me because I'm dating myself here, but I remember having this film on VHS. And as a young kid, I wore out this tape for the longest because, of course, I love, DuckTales, cartoon series. I watched like Chippendale Rescue Rangers and, all those throwback cartoons, man. It's like, golly, those were the times. And just because I'm a homebody, and as a kid, I said most of the time now I was just watching, TV and playing with my action figures or playing some video games like my Super Nintendo. I got at least a couple of various like Nintendos that I had, and I still wish I had until like I shouldn't have let my father sold my Nintendos. And of course, they, over time, they got those retro consoles for those, old Nintendo things. But man, God, it brings back, because it definitely had like a DuckTales video game. I'm pretty sure I had one of those. Uh, uh, but yeah, it's like, one of those things, it's in my room, just, having like some food set to the side and a drink and just playing video games or watching movies or cartoons, and like I was in my own little world, not all that was different from today, but it's just like I'm kind of streaming it, but I'm just in my own little world. As you see me playing like Marvel Rivals or Final Fantasy or whatever, like I'm just like in my own little space where I'm just relaxing, just engaging, just talking pretty much. And it's just this movie just brought a lot of memories back. And watching this, and I immediately, because I don't think many people think about this, but if you rewatch an animated film that you've seen as a kid, there is like there's a thought that went through my mind where maybe it's because I've seen it on VHS compared to how I'm watching it using the Disney Plus app and viewing it there. I guess the VHS made the animation look drastically different. I don't know the word to put in it, but I guess watching it on streaming made it look slicker and I guess high def. But I don't know. It's something about what how I remember it via VHS was like something different. It's like I don't say like I prefer the VHS one, but it's just like dang the quality. I don't know. I'm not saying like it's not necessarily bad because you want like an updated look, not updated look, but it's just like the high definition. Uh, is typically better, but I don't know. It just my memories of it just immediately just tells me. I was like, God, the high definition is kind of like kind of ruining the nostalgia just slightly, not all the way, but slightly. But man, I haven't seen this movie in so long. I was like, hell, like I don't even know if I was even 10 yet when I saw this film back in the day. I'm pretty sure I was like 10-ish, but it shows you how long ago that I've seen this film. And like I said, I wore this film out. Uh, anyway, this movie was directed by Bob Hathcock, and it stars Alan Young as Scrooge McDuck, Rosie Taylor as Huey, Dewey, Louie, and Webby. Huey, Dewey, Louie, and Webby. Very versatile actor, even though it's relatively the same voice. But I guess what made Rosie so, and most of these actors are long since passed, aside for maybe a couple. What made Rosie so talented is the fact that maybe it isn't just like the same voice for Huey, Dewey, and Louie. It's a different cadence or flexion to it, maybe. But there is the DuckTales cartoon to still going on to this day, but obviously got like a different voice actor, but not, at least I don't think they're voiced by the same person anymore. Is different people's for the role. Got Terrence McGovern as Lunchpack McQuack, Richard Libertini as the thief Dijon, Christopher Lloyd voices the evil sorcerer Murloc, June Foray as Mrs. Featherby, Chuck McCann as Duckworth, Joan Gerber as Mrs. Beakley, and Rip Taylor as Jeannie. Now I gotta point out something in a minute, but we'll get there. But the story begins with Scrooge, Launchpad, and his nieces and nephews flying to the Middle East to search for this lost treasure of Kali Baba. Now, I just realizing, and I never picked this up as a kid, and I just realizing, because it is the world of DuckTales, and this Kali Baba, obviously this is based off of Arabian, at least taking some inspiration from Arabian Nights. Like Ali Baba is what the real name is, but they call it Kali Baba, and it's like Kali dog. Jesus. And then the thief Dijon, and it's like Dijon mustard. Jesus Christ. Like I'm this year's old and just now picking up the puns. Like, like, dang. It's one of those things when you didn't notice it as a kid, but like, as you go, when you rewatch it as you're older, and it's like you start understanding the pun. I was like, anyway, uh, they land in the desert near this tomb where unknowingly they are guided by this thief named Dijon, which I don't know why the other diggers with Dijon didn't come with them, but whatever. But they end up digging up this treasure chest, which uncharacteristically looks pristine. And it's like, I don't even know if I even noticed this as a kid, but it's like, I watch a lot of treasure hunting movies and, adventurer type of films a lot, like The Mummy and stuff. And if you, and like, I'm no archaeologist or anything, but if you're digging up a chest from under the earth that was there for thousands of years, it would not look pristine. Like, maybe there's like a oversight on the animator's part, but or I don't know. It's just like, or maybe they just didn't think it was all that important to go that extra mile. But it's kind of like, it wasn't down the line. You would question it, like, why is a chest look so pristine when it should be like dingy and covered in like in dirt. But they unlock it, and to the chagrin of Scrooge, he seen like nothing but old robes until they end up finding this treasure map, which supposedly lead to Kali Baba's treasure. Now, on the side, Dijon meets up with his master Murloc, the sorcerer. And I didn't even realize as a kid that, maybe I did or probably don't remember, but then I didn't realize it was voiced by Christopher Lloyd, who has his magic talisman that allows him to transform into different animals. So you can like fly or run fast or whatever. But now I may be overthinking this a bit. But given the world of DuckTales and Mickey Mouse and such, and I'm pretty sure people will have this conversation when it comes to something like Pluto, and you got dog-like creatures like Goofy. It's like, but you also got pigeons. But these are anamorphic people. But I guess it's like, okay, you're able to change into birds and stuff, but this is also like, because ducks are technically birds, but it's weird. I don't know. He was changed to like a mountain lion at one point, but because I don't recall on any. I think I can let that more slide because watching enough DuckTales as a kid, and not once seen some anthropomorphic mountain lion before. So whatever. And there's certain animals you could probably let slide because they don't really utilize much as anthropomorphic animals. Like bugs, aren't treated the same as like Mickey Mouse Goofy or Scrooge McDuck. But I don't know. It's like an overthinking thing. Like, why you like you're able to change in all these different. So animals is like a thing, but you also are animals. Like I said, I'm overthinking it, but I'm just kind of finding it very like I don't know. You're breaking your own rules. You're trying to have your cake and eat it too. But whatever. So Murloc orders Dijon to be their guide, so that way he can allow Scrooge to get bypass any kind of traps or whatnot when they get there, and so he can just waltz on in and grab the treasure because he's looking for a particular item, which is obviously the lamp. So they managed to make it through the traps thanks to the nephew's marbles that they play around with. And I tell you, these marbles are like the freaking Deus Ex Machina for a lot of situations. And it's because of this movie. I just immediately recall because of this movie. I asked I don't know, it was my father or my grandfather. But I asked one of them, "Can I get like a marbles and just play around with?" And like, I did play around with those marbles for like at least weeks. Like I had those things. Don't have them anymore now, obviously, but it's it was like, dang, I want to play with the marbles because like Huey, Dewey, and Louie had all these marbles and did all this kind of stuff, and it kind of got in my imagination. But anyway, they use the marbles to bypass all these dangerous traps. They find the treasure, and Dijon go back to get Murloc, while everybody else was like is so delighted to find this treasure. Webby ends up finding the lamp, and Scrooge allows her to keep that part. Personally, he doesn't see any value in it, so he doesn't mind just giving it to her. So it's an archaeological a great archaeological find for him. But then they notice that there's giant scorpions at the bottom of this pillar where the treasure is sitting on. So then think they have no really worry as long as nobody falls over. But as they're loading up the sacks full of the treasure to be loaded up, Murloc and Dijon pulls a lever to lower the platform as they steal all the treasure that they found. Thanks to some quick thinking, they tip over the basket that held all this treasure to prevent the scorpions from attacking, and they finds like a little hidey hole to get through, which leads to a river which they follow to lead them outside safely, while Murloc and Dijon notices the lamp is not among the treasure, which is still in Webby's possession. So the DuckTales team ends up going back to Duckburg. Scrooge's completely disappointed and not want to face the where those high society people at this gala, because hey, I'm not going to show my face because every year like I made this declaration that I want to find Kali Baba's treasure, and every year I come up short, and I don't want to look like an ass in front of them. Not again. Uh, so he's in the mood, which is not that too dissimilar to any type of mood Scrooge usually has, which is like seemingly grouchy most of the time. So, while Webby was polishing the lamp, no, that's not a euphemism, it starts to jump around, and then the nephews and Webby are trying to contain the thing, and then out pops a genie, who they call Gene. And Gene, is excited to meet his new masters, and because we're all there touching the lamp, I guess, which is kind of breaking the real rules of how typically genies work in pop culture, where only the one person who I don't even know, because most cases, like if you look at Aladdin, for example, sure, he was the only one that, well, him and Monkey or Apu were there opening up, who released the genie. But Apu, maybe it's because he was a monkey, didn't also get the wishes. But I don't know. I don't know how it's just like, whoever had the lamp in their hands, you would maybe think the genie will just recognize that person as his master. It just because the person might be around a couple other people, they don't also get wishes. You would think. I don't know how this works, because genies are based off of Middle Eastern folklore, real name being jinn, and these things aren't like, because Disney kind of Disneyfied these entities to be like usually fun characters who's like, usually benevolent. But if you look up the folklore, those things, typically aren't so nice. They, it's kind of like, their wishes are more like, monkey paw kind of situations where, they, the wishes, will tend to backfire. They're more like tricksters, if anything. I mean, honestly, if you look it up, it's, matter of fact, I'm looking at it right now, because I might be taking a bit of a side tangent here. Like humans, they're accountable for their deeds and can be either believers slash Muslims, or unbelievers or slash kafar, depending on whether they accept God's guidance. Since jinn are neither innately evil nor innately good, Islam acknowledged spirits from other religions and could adapt them during its expansion. Jinn are not strictly Islamic concept. They may represent several pagan beliefs and integrated into Islam. Although usually invisible, jinn are supposedly to be composed of thin, subtle bodies and can change at will. They favor a snake form, but can also appear as scorpions, lizards, or humans. They may even engage in sexual affairs with humans and produce offspring. If they are injured by someone, they usually seek revenge or possess the assailant's body, requiring exorcism. Jinn rarely meddle in human affairs, preferring to live with their own kind and tribes similar to those of pre-Islamic Arabia. Individual jinn appear on charms and talismans. They are called upon for protection or magical aid, often under the leadership of a king. Many people who believe in jinn wear amulets to protect themselves against the assaults of the jinn. set out by sorcerers and witches. A common held belief is that jinn cannot hurt someone who wears something with the name of God written on it. While some Muslim scholars in the past had uh, ambivalent attitudes towards jinn, contemporarily Muslim scholarship increasingly associates jinn with idolatry. Uh, uh, yeah, well, I'm trying to find like the uh, at least the theory of because they do contain like magical properties and practices. But so far as like, well, I'll probably take a look, off screen and see like, okay, how does this wish thing typically works in folklore? Uh, let me see. Uh, uh, sorry, just 1 second. The article aims to explore the myth of jinn granting wishes, examining the origin of jinn. Uh, Throughout history, jinn have been associated with the granting of wishes, leading to countless tales and folklore. The most famous of these stories is perhaps that of Aladdin and his magic lamp, where a jinn grants the protagonist 3 wishes. This connection raises intriguing questions about the nature of wishes within jinn mythology. Many stories depict jinn as beings who can fulfill human desires, but often with a twist, highlighting the complexity of wishes. Yeah, that's what I thought. Popular tales, in addition to Aladdin, other tales like The Fisherman and the Jinn illustrate the consequences and moral lessons associated with wish granting. Role of wishes. Uh, Wishes often serve as a narrative device to explore deeper themes of desire, greed, and the human condition. Uh, the exploration of jinn and the myth of wish granting reveals a rich tapestry of cultural beliefs and psychological insights. From ancient stories to modern interpretations, the fascination with jinn and wishes continues to endure, serving as a reminder of complexities of human desire. As we reflect on the power of wishful thinking, it is essential to recognize its potential to inspire and motivate, while also acknowledging the cautionary tales that remind us to be mindful of our wishes and their consequences. Yeah, because dangerous. It's like you can't just willy nilly wish for uh whatever. Which is a good thing. When you're telling something like Aladdin or this film, because there will be some wish granting here. So the genie, getting back to the topic, so the genie recognizes the boys and Webby as his master. So they each end up getting 3 wishes, which I think is kind of like a cheat, to be honest with you. But whatever, it's kind of sucky if only Webby was allowed to have the wishes. But also, we wouldn't get these kind of wacky little moments in this in the next couple of days. So they called the genie Gene, and and I like this part because unlike with the whole treasure chest being so pristine, and they, the animators and the writers didn't put up, like at least think about like making this a little bit more dingy to really, you know, fit into the scene that they're in. But here, the boys actually have a conversation like, man, what should we wish for? Well, we should, wish to help, use our wishes to help the world. And Gene then comes in and comments like, I grant wishes, not miracles. And it's like, I like that joke, but it also kind of like, okay, because the writers smartly realize that is going to be something that people are going to bring up. It's like, more often than not, when they, movies dealing with wish granting entities, even something like Bruce Almighty, sure, you may have the power to do, something, but there's drastic consequences. And also, there's other mechanisms in the world and in beyond human understanding that you won't grasp, that probably won't affect the larger scope of things. Like, you can't affect free will. Like, if you bring it back to Bruce Almighty, it's like, yeah, it's kind of like a universal foundation that can't be altered, not even by God, because he set the standard. Once set, that's a wrap. It's like, even I imagine God can't go back on that. There's still like a level of choice that's wired fundamentally in the universe, and so Gene just can't just stop wars. It's kind of like, yeah, in theory, it'd be nice to just wish for no war, but there are occasions, very rare, but there are occasions where war is probably required when some threat comes in, and it need a force to stop it. Otherwise, you get bulldozed over. And you're looking at something like World War II. It's like, yeah, war was, was definitely required for something like that, given the threat that was endangering the wider society of the world. So they wish for something. Well, Webby ended up wishing for like a pet baby elephant. So Gene grants the wish, but he's a little agitated given the fact that you gotta wish for something small. You can't. He doesn't like doing big wishes because they cause, I guess, too much attention. You'll see as later as to why, but so one of the boys have to waste one of his wishes to undo Webby's irresponsible wish, because she's just a little girl and she likes cute things, and she she's not stupid, but she doesn't understanding the responsibility behind all this kind of stuff. And of course, like Featherby, I'm pretty sure that's her name, the maid. She's like, thought she saw like a baby elephant. She goes to get Scrooge, and you know, he she thinks he thinks he's gone crazy, but then he notices something and goes check on the boys and Webby, and he questions them because he knows how much they get in trouble, sticking to the whole, if, people expect the writers and directors expect people who watching this film to know about all the DuckTales cartoons lore, so they know the enough to know that the boys have a propensity to get into some trouble. So of course, Screws ends up questioning them immediately. But then Gene comes out of the closet, not referencing anything, and, dressed up in the boys' outfits. And so they pretend that Gene is a local kid who was a part of their woodchuck camp organization. And so they ask, can he spend the night? It's like, I don't know how you can get that, keep this ruse going like that. But Screws is like, okay, like, he buys it and, lets, this go. So the boys spend the next, the boys and Webby spend the day, get into the next day, getting wishes made, small wishes, like, giant, ice cream sundae, and these model train set you can ride on, and it's all this kid stuff essentially. And like, how even with the with the three boys, Gene and Webby, they can't eat like this kiddie pool filled with ice cream because this stuff is gonna melt eventually, and they together can't all eat this pound of ice cream. But it's just fun to think about though, because even as a kid, it's like, dang, now I want some ice cream. Even to this day, holy crap. Looking at the movie, it's like I was in the mood for some ice cream because of it. Because it's like certain movies and TV shows make certain foods they're so delicious looking that you really want to try it if it's real and go and get it. Like if you remember Ed, Edd n Eddy, and they, the kids' fascination or fixation of Jawbreakers made me and my little brother want freaking Jawbreakers. It's like it's a crazy thing. Or if you watch Sonic the Hedgehog, you want a chili dog because of him. Which is freaking weird. The fact that, oh my god, normally product placement in films can be annoying, but sometimes it's like, duh, it should fit here. If anytime you want to use a product placement in something, Sonic the Hedgehog films should have the restaurant Sonic endorse it. It's like right there. Eats chili dogs. The Sonic restaurant sells chili dogs. It's in their menu. Look it up. And it's like 3 movies. And at one time that they have like Sonic the Hedgehog have some kind of like in product placement where him, Tom, and the others aren't just having like a nice meal together at Sonic's. It's like, what? It's like, oh my god, if any movie had any reason to use a product placement, that movie definitely deserves because it's like the right product placement for a movie. It's like pitch perfect. And Sonic, I've never been to a Sonic, matter of fact, now I'm thinking about it, it's gonna be a fun little adventure because it's like, dang, how come I've never gone to a Sonic restaurant before? It's because maybe as a kid I always thought like Sonic is kind of like Arby's. It's like, why would I go there? It seems kind of lame. But I'll definitely go to a Sonic before I go to an Arby's. But I want to go to a Sonic one day because, gosh darn it, like it kind of boggles the mind. I never went to a Sonic before. And all those commercials I've seen over the years has never enticed me to go to a Sonic, which is weird. If you've been to a Sonic restaurant, let me know how it is in the comments below. But anyway, get off topic here. So later that night, uh, uh, the the children end up going to bed, and a bird flies by, and Jean starts freaking out, and clearly having some PTSD issues. Even before we knew what PTSD was as kids, or at least the word on people's lips. It wasn't a word on people's lips like that. But Gene starts freaking out, and the boy starts asking him, "What's the matter? It's just a bird." And he starts telling them about how his old master, Murloc, found his lamp and starts granting terrible wishes. The first one being granting him immortality. And then he has this magic talisman that not only allows him to shapeshift to like birds and other various creatures in the animal kingdom. When he places it onto the magic lamp, it bypasses the rules of the lamp and allows him to do wish for anything he wants. And like two big examples, that the tragedies in Atlantis and Pompeii was caused by Murloc, because they used to be vacation spots, but because they wouldn't let Murloc in for whatever reason, so he wished for them, Atlantis to sink and Pompeii to just erupt, which becomes historical, the most historical tragedies. Like one's a legend, one's the actual real world tragedy. So that's when Kali Baba, this famous thief, managed to steal the lamp and bury it amongst his treasure, keeping Murloc from doing any further damage, which very much hinders Murloc. So he spends the rest of his immortal life trying to find the lamp, which throughout this time he was never able to do it until Duck managed to do so. So the boys promise, Gene, that, hey, like, don't worry, they don't, even if he is alive, and like, he doesn't know where he is right now, so you can just stay with us. Unbeknownst to them, Dijon and Murloc track down Scrooge McDuck's home, and they Murloc changes into a rat to sneak into the property and try to find the lamp. All the while, Webby, has her turn with Gene, and she wants to have a tea party with him. So Jean is kind of bored with this, but she wishes that all of her stuffed animals will come to life so they can have this big tea party. But behaving like kooky animals, they all start running wild, causing mischief, freaking out Featherby and Uncle Scrooge. Then the pretty much jig is up. Everybody starts freaking out. Murloc gets swallowed by this stuffed animal tiger. But then they have to reveal that Gene is a genie, because one of the boys has to waste his last wish just to fix once again Webby's irresponsible wish, which kind of sucks because like, can you imagine you each get 3 wishes and two of the boys have to waste one of their own wishes to fix up the girl's stupid wish. That's kind of wild. It's like, dang, that sucks. And they didn't even think about this. It's like, okay, if you going under the rules of, genies and lamps and wishes, when you use up your wishes, the genie goes back in the bottle. That's all she wrote. You pretty much, used up your thing. Unless you, I don't know, go by, I don't know, Green Lantern rules and the lamp just flies and goes to another person, or just you just won't be able to use it if you used it before and the genie just won't come out. I don't know what, like, how the rules are typically. Anyway, Uncle Scrooge realized this and he grabs the lamp, wishes for Kali Baba's treasure. It just magically appears in his living room. So now he can go to that gala to show off pretty much, but he's keeping the lamp on his person along with Jean. So Murloc escapes from the mouth of the, because after everything goes back to normal, Murloc escapes through the escapes out the mouth of the stuffed animal. Him and Dijon fly and follow Scrooge, who takes a launch pad helicopter so he can fly on to the gala. So Scrooge allows Jean to hide in like this planter, so he can watch the gala, safely while he goes do his thing. Because Scrooge is, like a stubborn, grouch from time to time, but he's still fair and understanding. So it's like, fine, you stay here and don't do anything. Then Jean notices Murloc, among the crowd, so he goes and tells Scrooge and warns him about Murloc. So he takes Scrooge into one of the spare rooms, and Scrooge not wanting to, Scrooge ain't afraid of anything. He takes on, he got that, I guess, Scottish, kind of attitude. Is like, I'm not running away from this fool. While Gene's trying to barricade the freaking door, because he knows what they're up against, and Scrooge is like thinking like, oh, he's just some rapscallion that you can just take on it. But then all of a sudden a bear claw comes bursting, through the doorway, and it's like, I remember this got a big laugh out of me when I first watched it as a kid. And it's like, he has a bear, and she's like, he is the bear. So Gene takes Scrooge inside his own lamp. He threw it on the light fixture on top, just but I don't know why there was no because if you have like a light fixture on the ceiling that casts the light in the room, it should have like a back signal type of thing where it's kind of like the light ain't covering the entire room because of like a shadow. Why wouldn't nobody notice that? But whatever, overthinking it again. But there's a best way to kind of hide. So it fools Murloc and Dijon long enough so they can just leave the room. So they leave the lamp, and so he tells Gene to go back in the lamp so he can go back to his home, so he can just hide the lamp inside the vault, because he figures like, okay, there's no safer place than my vault. Because Scrooge McDuck is probably like one of the richest characters in fictional history. Because we know this by the fact that we watch enough of the cartoon. He likes to swim in his pile of money. And of course, I remember Family Guy making a joke about this because, Peter Griffin tried to do the exact same thing as Scrooge McDuck, but he ends up falling and hurting himself because all that pile of money, or at least pile of coins, is like hard metal, and he's like trying to dive into that pile of coins, you end up hurting yourself. Because like you might as well be, trying to swim in, concrete. But Scrooge ended up bumping into a cart full of catering stuff and mixed up his lamp with a gravy lamp. Dijon finds the lamp while Scrooge picked up like a wrong one. So Dijon got the genie on. So now Dijon is like a new master. So he thinks, okay, he's an idiot, but he's and obviously a greedy asshole, but he's still better than somebody like Murloc, and I can at least fool him, catering to his ego and whatnot. So he just allowed Dijon to like keep him and think like, oh, you're my master now. I was like, you don't need to go back to Murloc. And so Dijon ends up wishing for Scrooge McDuck's money and living in his home and all this other stuff. So when Scrooge tried to show up at his house, he ends up trespassing and arrested and put in holding. Featherby, the nephews and the others, bailing out Scrooge, and they figure out a plan to break in, considering that Dijon might have taken over Scrooge's wealth and building, but he still knows the codes to bypass the security systems. So, partially thanks to the boys with their marbles and bypassing the laser grid, they managed to break in and get close enough to try to get to the lamp from Dijon, who thinks he's protected from Murloc because of all the security and pretty much Scrooge's home is pretty much like a fortress. He thinks like, oh, nobody can get in, so you don't have to worry about Murloc. But of course, Murloc, disguised as a cockroach, hitched a ride on with the boys. Got inside. He snatches up the lamp, wishes that Dijon, because of his disloyalty, which he turns into a pig, and which the Scrooge's home becomes his new fortress, and he wants his fortress to fly back to the Middle East. And Scrooge, like got in Murloc's face. Scrooge was rarely scared about anything. He's not afraid to like take on someone like a freaking sorcerer. It's like, hey, like, give me back my house, put it back. It's like got in his face. It's like, man, you got some balls or feathers, whatever. But Murloc is like, it's like I ain't trying to stunt him. Wishes Gene to get Scrooge out of his house, and Gene's like, I'm sorry, and like Scrooge's like, look, I understand. So he sends like a gale of wind to blow Scrooge, try to blow him off the flying fortress. Scrooge barely is able to hang on thanks to his cane, but the boys show up using the freaking marbles, the Deus Ex Machinas, flick it with such accuracy and knocks the lamp out of Murloc's hand. Scrooge grabs it while he's falling off the side, and Murloc, uses his talisman to change into a griffin to follow and to catch the lamp. So him and Scrooge are struggling in midair over this lamp, but thanks to Scrooge and his like ability to use the freaking cane with such like efficiency, it's kind of like Nightwing and his bow staff practically, and not only he's able to grab the lamp, he knocks Murloc's talisman from his grasp, and because he's not attached to the talisman, he turns back to normal and ends up falling to his death. But as I'm surprised, it's like, dang, cartoons back then didn't shy away from like killing off characters. You don't see the gory part, but you can infer from like obvious observation that you're not surviving that. It's kind of like with the villain in Tarzan, where it's like Clayton struggling among the little branches. He ends up hanging himself. But you don't see it, but you can just tell. So Scrooge wishes that his family, his home, and his money go back to Duckburg to normal. So everything goes back to normal, and so Scrooge still has one last wish. I mean, part of him wants to get this lamp and bury it, somewhere in the desert and never to be seen again. So this will never happen again. But then he just wishes that the genie becomes a real boy. So now he's normal. Without the connection to the genie, the lamp is such to disintegrate. Wait, I don't know why he need to go through all this big spiel about like just burying the lamp altogether when he knows he's going to just make the guy a real boy. And it's like none of the boys there, thought about making that particular wish, given because of course they're kids, they're selfish. They didn't think beyond themselves and realize okay, maybe we should use one of our wishes to wish him to be like a normal person, i.e. Aladdin. So the nephews Webby go play with Gene while Scrooge goes to try to swim in his money as per usual. That's how he got his, that's his kink. He swims in his money. But then he notices that Dijon, who was turned back to normal since Murloc's wish has kind of been canceled out, and he tried to steal some of Scrooge's money, and he starts chasing him down the street while the DuckTales theme song plays, and that's where the movie ends. This is a fun movie. It's fun to just go back to after all these years. It kind of slightly underperformed in the theaters back in the day, because it only had like at least back then, it had like a budget of $20 million, but it came out at the box office as 18 million, so just shy of $2 million. Not horrible, but it was released in 1990 in August 3rd, so it's like, I don't know. I don't know how like the it had any kind of worldwide release. It's it's only released in the United States at the time. So I didn't say I can't say it it did poorly for its time, because it's slightly underperformed. It's a kids film. Don't know how many times parents took their kids to see DuckTales over and over, but it did fine. And it's like a fine film, a fine family film to introduce your kids to, especially if they haven't seen. Well, it's probably a good idea to have them watch some DuckTales cartoons, so they can get some understanding of this world. They're going to show them this film, so they can at least get the context of the relationship dynamics. But it's like a fun film, and of course that kick-ass theme song, golly, still hits. But that was DuckTales the movie, Treasure of the Lost Lamp. I will see you guys in a little bit as I go over the rescuers from down under. So I will see you in a bit. Peace.